Oh, no, we're not out here at 8:30.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to the Delaware County Council meeting, August 24th, 2021, here in the Commissioner's Courtroom. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And if everybody would please stand, remove your hats for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Tony, would you like to start us? Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Steve, are you doing roll call this morning?
Yeah.
Okay, I know we switched some seats around, so.
Mr. Ballard. Here. Ms. Chambers.
Present.
Ms. Lassiter.
Here.
Ms. Piper.
Here.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Here.
Mr. Webb.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Hughes.
Here.
All right, Denise, was the agenda posted and all the notifications made for the meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. And I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Ballard. Roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. Okay, just again for the public, public comments can be directed to the county council website at countycouncil.dist@co.delaware.in.us. They can be made to any council member any day of the month directly, and also at the end we will have public comment, and there's a sign-up sheet, I believe, over at this podium. And I would entertain an approval of the June minutes and also the special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
July 27th, Scott.
Yeah, you're right, it says June, doesn't it? Yeah, July 27th correction there, and the special meeting on August 12th. So I have a motion from Piper, second from Lassiter.
Ballard.
Ballard, sorry. All right. I knew it was down that direction. Any discussion, questions, changes, corrections? If not, roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. All right, and we've got two resolutions today, and Brad, you're here to explain those to us. Bill, have you had time to look all these over?
I have.
Okay.
I have no questions.
Let's go ahead and get a motion to approve the first resolution, and that number, I believe, is, help me out here, 2021-032.
Correct. Yes. So
Don't know
moved.
the number of dollars, so I'll know which one that is.
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Chambers. Go ahead, Brad.
Okay, good morning. I'm Brad
one is
Bookout. I'm here today representing the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission relating to the refinancing of bonds in both the Park 1 and the Morrison Road TIF districts, hence the two resolutions that are on your agenda. The Park 1, I'm going to go through a few points with each one of these so you understand why the County Redevelopment Commission has undertaken these actions. The Morrison Road is a simple, the Park 1, let's start with Park 1. This is a simple refinancing of the bond, and it saves the county taxpayers approximately $189,000, just a hair over that. The Morrison Road refinancing will save county taxpayers approximately $351,000. In addition, the County Redevelopment Commission is asking for it and working to obtain additional revenue with that refinancing so that we can complete infrastructure and road paving projects in the Morrison Road TIF district area. These refinancings do not extend the term of the bonds, so we keep the bonds at the same terms that they were prior. This is simply interest rate reductions that we're able to take advantage of. I talked with Ron Quakenbush yesterday, and he asked me what the issuance costs were of each of the two bonds. For the Morrison Road bond, it's $129,000. For the Park One bond, it's $119,000. This is the bond issuance legal and accounting costs that are associated with the refinancings.
Could you repeat the cost of the first one?
Yes, it's $129,000.
Okay.
Second one is $119,000. This savings is figured in after the refinancing costs, or the savings is figured in after the refinancing costs. So despite those costs, there still is savings to the county taxpayers in excess of $540,000 after the refinancing costs. These numbers were figured by Baker Tilly. I don't claim to do these numbers. This is our municipal consulting firm that has worked on these numbers. In addition to this, which has no action from you today, but the County Redevelopment Commission did also pay off the Bravini bond in full. That was a $1.8 million bond. Thank you to Donna, if she's here, for her cooperation. And we had some struggles getting that all coordinated, but we did get that taken out. That bond is gone now, so I think that's good news. Regarding the road paving in the Morrison Road area, with the additional revenue that is being asked for, the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission proposes the following roads. Morrison Road from Keller Drive to Bethel. That's a 5-lane run, if you're familiar with that. Benton Road north of McGalliard. This is near the Westminster Village area. Clare Lane from Bethel to Walmart's property. Everybody knows Clare Lane is not in good shape right now. Unfortunately, the road on Clare Lane in front of Walmart is owned by Walmart. It is not owned by the city or the county, so we have to stop the paving at Walmart. I've asked the city engineer to notice Walmart that we're planning to do a repaving and ask Walmart if they would in fact repave that also. I don't know how that'll go, but we've at least made the inquiry. Very important to the commissioners with the repaving is we're also going to repave all of Lantern Park addition at the corner of Petty and Morrison. The streets have been the original streets since the neighborhood was new. Bethel Avenue from Morrison to the Cardinal Car Wash. Everyone's familiar with that stretch. Baker Lane, which connects Morrison to Bethel by Concannons. We intend to complete all of this paving this year. That's the goal, to get it done before wintertime. So we're very excited to do that. The Morrison Road TIF district is controlled by the county. However, it's in the city limits. The reason for that is that the county set that TIF district up in order to promote growth and development in that area years ago. The city then annexed the area. As a result, the county still maintains control of that area. So the commissioners, as well as the city of Muncie and the town of Yorktown councils, have all approved this to date unanimously. And all of those boards are eager to work in cooperation with the county to get these projects done, particularly the road paving and the savings to the county taxpayers. Your two appointments on the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission, both Eugene Whitehead and Carrie Wiggerly, helped to spearhead and endorse this project. Really, there's two things being accomplished. We're saving money and we're paving roads. So I'm happy to answer questions today. I thank you in advance for your consideration. And as soon as I get the approval, we're going to get started on the work.
And just to let council know, too, there was, I guess, a little bit of confusion on whether county council was going to have to vote on this, I think, and Brad and I talked about that on the phone, and that was, I guess, the reason for what felt like was something that we didn't see coming.
I always blame the lawyers.
Okay, all right.
Hey, Brad, all those neighborhoods that you said, do you have any idea what the total miles paved would be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'd get you.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to guess there's a mile in Lantern Park, a mile on 1, 2, 3.
If you don't have it, it's okay. I'm
4,
just curious.
4 or 5, maybe. So, yeah. And we would like to do more. The intent is to continue. This is just what we know we can do with the proceeds, but intention is if we have additional funds, we're going to keep paving in that area. We know that's an important area that needs paved. We have the revenue to do it. The city needs the help. It just makes sense to do that work.
Who does the bid process on that?
County Redevelopment Commission
Okay.
issues the bids, correct?
You advertise those at public meetings?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm a little confused on the resolution number. What resolution number did you give us, Brad?
032,
That's Morrison.
For which one?
Morrison.
032, 033.
Yeah,
Morrison is 032. Okay. Who is your municipal advisor?
Matt Eckerly at Baker Tilly.
Okay.
I think you know
And
him.
what are incidental expenses?
Incidental expenses relating to the issuance of the bond
Is that the 119,000?
relate to the legal and the accounting expenses. I receive no compensation
Well,
for
I
doing
wasn't
this
accusing you of
project.
that.
No,
It's just
I
kind of
never
a-
have and never would take any compensation for doing these projects.
Well, you're under contract.
Exactly.
Your duties
Yes,
with the county, correct?
yes.
Brad, is there anything from the standpoint of the bids that, I guess my question is locally, are there any companies that are taking bids from that get maybe preferential treatment because they're local entities, or how does that work?
Yes, absolutely. The County Redevelopment Commission has actually already advertised for the bids at this time because we were wanting to jumpstart this process. We've already received the other approvals. We weren't aware that we needed to come here until attorneys told us we needed to seek this additional approval. And as a result of that, we did receive one bid. Contractors are very busy. One bid is from E&B Paving for the work to be completed.
Are these bonds going to be insured?
I don't know that question. They do not have a county taxpayer backup on them.
Well,
Or I believe Park One has a county taxpayer backup. I need to ask Joe Retz that question. So, and he just happened to appear at the doorway.
Brad, I think Gary Wiggerly, I think I saw him walk past too. If he's got anything he'd like to say, we're happy to hear from him too as well.
Sounds good. Joe, can you address the issue,
First, I want to, Joe Retz, attorney for the Redevelopment Commission. I want to make sure that the incidental cost issue is addressed. That's like trustee fees, maybe any sort of interest cost, preliminary interest costs, little fees that aren't typically counted as issuance costs, but still accrue over time. It's usually a nominal amount compared to the cost of the bond. As far as the property tax backups, I don't believe either have property tax backups generally throughout the county. There's maybe a chance, which my understanding, because I actually asked the municipal advisors this specifically, but there's a chance the County Redevelopment Commission would have to implement a special benefit tax. But they've never seen it happen in any bond issue they've ever worked on, and it's highly unlikely that it would actually happen here, just because we have more than sufficient coverage for these bonds that's built into the actual bond documents.
well, the experience I've had is that there's a discount rate involved in these bonds, and if you insure them, it reduces the discount rate.
These bonds are insurable at the discretion of the county auditor. It's up to him to decide, or her, should that decision come to a later auditor.
Well, then you'll have the public hearing on the issuance of the bonds.
correct? One public hearing has already happened. The second one is scheduled to take place in September.
What kind of rates were we at on the bonds previously, and what is the anticipated?
I asked Matt Eckerly to come to the meeting today from Baker Tilly, and he was unable to attend this morning, so I do not know the exact rate.
Okay.
I would be guessing if I was telling you.
No, that's fine. I'd rather you
prefer not to.
Not,
guess.
and we can
Yeah.
see the savings.
Yeah,
And that's the savings of both of those.
that is correct. The savings on both exceeds $540,000.
And that's after,
That is after the issuance cost.
Okay.
Correct.
Steve, have you guys insured any bonds in the past through the auditor's office? Okay.
Brad, I know you're wanting to move on this quick, but I just for public record, is it normal to have a public hearing before the resolutions are approved?
Since these are being issued by the County Redevelopment Commission, it is normal to have the public hearing before the County Redevelopment Commission approves. They've had introductory and confirmatory votes with one bond issue, and they've had introductory with the second one, and they'll have the confirmatory vote after the public hearing at the September County Redevelopment Commission meeting. Yep.
Can you run through the approvals that have happened so far? To this
Yes,
point?
it's, as with bond issues, it is a lot. Of course, these bonds being in multiple jurisdictions have to go before multiple bodies. So we've been before Yorktown, the town of Yorktown for the Park One. We've been before the Muncie City Council for the Morrison Road. We've been before the county commissioners. And then the County Redevelopment Commission has to hear each one twice. So, and then, of course, your body as well. So this is a months-long process getting to this point. We have one more County Redevelopment Commission meeting to finalize everything. So far, it's been unanimous with all boards, 24, including yourselves, or no, not including you, 24 elected officials or appointees have voted unanimously on this to date.
And Bill, I know I asked you before, but you looked through both of these and there's no issues with,
No, none
That-
whatsoever.
that need any further?
They're in regular
Okay.
order.
Okay.
I recognize your apprehension, and I'm going to say that I'm not a fan, on the record, I'm not a fan of the bond process as well. However, the state legislature sets the rules and the parameters by which we have to work within to do these projects. This is how we have to do this. If I was to do this another way, I would be breaking the law. And so, yes, this is a way that the state legislature has set this up so that bond issuance fees can be captured. And yes, we have to go through that process to do it.
I'm going to be opposed to you there. I am a fan of the procedure.
Okay.
And I've served as a commissioner and as a council member, and I think county council, by statute, has that obligation to look these over. As
I agree. I believe you should have the power of approval. I don't believe that you should have to utilize bond counsel and incur a $129,000 expense on the Morrison Road and a $119,000 expense on Park One. We can do this with Joe Rett sitting behind me for his hourly rate. But the way the state legislature set this up, they've been lobbied in the past in order to do these in bond issuances. And to be a bond counsel in the state of Indiana has additional responsibilities, and they get paid handsomely to do that work.
So the state gets that money?
No, the bond
counsel.
bond counsel and the financial advisory firms receive those fees.
Well, if,
I don't disagree with you on that part.
No,
Not at
yeah,
all.
yeah, I would prefer that money to stay in Delaware
In
County.
fact, we did
Yeah.
one bond issue locally with a local attorney way back a few years ago. Just, actually, the county council attorney represented and did it for a lot less rate.
Yeah.
It was a small bond issue for County Health Center at the time, but I agree with you on that part. But I don't disagree. I don't agree that
Ye-
the procedure of coming before the county council, whoever it may be, is a good place to bring it out into the public eye.
I'm fine going through all of the approval process. I'm happy to present to you. It does not bother me to do that with this board or any board. So, yeah, we're in agreement, Ron.
well, and that was my first question when I talked to you on the phone yesterday.
Yeah.
It was, all right, what's it gonna cost and what's the savings on there? And this one feels like it's moving through a lot faster only because we weren't notified in advance, which they normally do, but the thought or what you were told was this did not need council approval, and that turned out not to be the
Originally, we
so-
were under the impression from our bond counsel that only the city of Muncie was required since the County Redevelopment Commission was issuing. And then in Yorktown, since they have merged with Mount Pleasant Township, that we worked through the town of Yorktown on that approval. And then when we came to the underwriting part, another attorney stepped in and said, why don't you go ahead and get the county council approval? And so hence you received an email, I believe, late Thursday. And as I know all of you, you know I like to bring you up to speed a lot quicker and sooner than that, so, yeah.
And
So
we all
thank you.
usually get phone calls from you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I usually have you well up to speed on things, so I recognize this is a unique situation. I don't like presenting to you without you understanding the full parameter of the project ahead of me coming in here.
Well, there's another uniqueness here in the fact that the city of Muncie has over time annexed almost this entire area, I believe.
Correct.
And it sounds like all of those from the county government have been in very positive cooperation. I hope we'll find that to be with the city and the county in the future,
Yes.
instead of what we've been going through in the last couple of years. I'm a bit disappointed in some of the things that have been way too controversial between the two governments. My soapbox for the day.
I was hoping that saving county taxpayers' money and paving roads was a good thing, Ron.
Well, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But when we didn't know a thing about it
Yeah.
until last Friday when I opened my email,
Yes. Yeah.
you and I get along pretty good, Brad, but that's because we talk to each
Exactly.
other and communicate.
Yeah.
Plus, I trained him on the council.
That's why I'm good at doing this. I know what you want to hear.
All right, any more questions from council? We have a motion for 032 on the floor right now. Roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. Okay, and I would entertain a motion for a similar one that you've already talked through some of, so if there are any questions, definitely ask them, but another resolution for Delaware County Council approving the Redevelopment Commission issuance of bonds is Resolution 2021-033. Need a motion to approve.
Approve.
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Ballard. Discussion from council. You want to go ahead and, you kind of told us about it before,
Yeah,
but just
same thing.
reiterate
This is a bond
what it
issue
is
for
and
the-
where it is.
In the Park 1 area, originally the intention was to assist with infrastructure development in that area. This is not asking for any new additional money. The bond term stays the same. It's just saving money on a better interest rate.
On this one, are they refinancing the same amount out there? There are no other projects that are financed into this, or?
There are not any other
Okay.
projects. I would have liked there to have been, but we did not have the capacity to be able to support the issuance to do that. So,
Okay.
yes.
They don't have the revenue coming.
We don't have the revenue to do it, yeah. There is a left-hand turn problem pulling out of Park 1 onto State Road 332 currently, for those people who are accessing I-69, and at 5 o'clock when those factories let out of work, it can be a 20-minute wait to turn left, so, and it's dangerous. We have contacted NDOT about that. They're not in favor of a stoplight due to the proximity of the intersection to the other stoplight that they have at the highway, which has minimal traffic compared to that Park 1 exit. So, yeah. So I would have liked to have addressed that if there was additional revenue available, but there's not at this time.
I've made the mistake of trying to get gas around that time.
Right,
And you
yeah,
wait.
yeah.
Any other questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
One more note before I depart. Your two appointments, Eugene Whitehead and Kerry Wiggerly. Kerry came today. He's standing right outside the doorway. I worked very well with them on the County Redevelopment Commission, and I want to thank them for their service publicly. They do a lot. It's unpaid. It's all volunteer, and I keep them hopping with the stuff we're working on, as well as all those members. So thank you for having two good appointments on the County Redevelopment Commission.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, have a good day. Thank you.
Okay, we have no ordinances or second readings. We're on to transfer agenda, and we've got some different personnel in here, so we will bear with you and
Thank you.
get through this and help you out if need be.
All right, first up, Commissioners, 153, 113, Maintenance Superintendent, negative $7,173.46. 153A, 113, Maintenance Superintendent, positive $7,173.46. 153A, 112, Human Resource Assistant, negative $10,781.51. 153B, 112, Human Resource Assistant, positive $10,781.51, total $0.
Move to approve.
Approve.
Second.
There was a correction, that's all that was in the line is the
I was gonna ask you
10,781.51.
about that, yeah, okay.
It's not what I. Yeah, hang on just a second. What was that amount?
$10,781.51.
781.51, and that was on 112?
Correct.
Okay. Is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, it was Ron's motion.
Ron's
Sorry.
motion, I'm sorry. Ron, was that your motion? Okay. Motion from Quakenbush, second from Piper. You want to explain that?
Sure. I didn't
Real quick.
submit these pages, but they sound kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
The maintenance position, of course, Charlie retired, and so we're moving some monies. Steve Foster is the new superintendent. I don't believe he goes full-time until end of October, November area. And then, of course, the human resources assistant went elsewhere, and so naturally we would need to move that to another line item to cover the new hire, which I believe starts this week or next week.
And is Pam
Soon.
still here? I saw her in here before. I was going to say that, do you know what the start date is
For her
for
assistant,
her? Yeah,
like I know it's within the next week or week and a half. She'll be
okay.
able to
That one
confirm
was
that.
already paid out for the most part, or will be by then.
To my understanding, with the last pay period, Debbie is paid, and when does Ginger start?
I have a new employee that's starting Monday,
Okay,
and then, I don't know what was done, I was over there talking, imagine that.
that was all we need, that was all we were looking for is
Okay.
the start date, I think. So.
Yeah, the start date on my assistant is Monday, and Charlie's is November 1st,
Yep,
for that position.
okay. Any questions from council?
Yeah, I'm confused. How's this maintenance superintendent, is he not gonna be full-time right away, or?
No, he's not, because there's not money in that account to make him
I-
full-time, we have to pay Charlie out. So he's working part-time. He has another job now, but he's working part-time until Charlie monies runs out.
So he's
Had a
not,
lot of.
he's a new hire. He's not someone who's promoted up.
No, he's a new hire from out of the county, yeah,
And that one doesn't start
till November 1st.
till November 1st because that's how long the payout
That's right.
lasts.
Charlie had
Yeah.
a lot of hours.
Okay. Anything else from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. Nancy, you're up. You want to go ahead and read that in?
Okay. Jail,
We'll get a
salary
motion.
and wages, 145A, 149, correctional officer, negative $10,700. 145B, 149, correctional officer, positive $10,700. 145B, 115, correctional officer, negative $11,200. 145C, 115, correctional officer, positive $11,200. 145B, 151, corporal officer, negative $11,500. 145C, 151, corporal officer, $11,500, total $0.
Point of order. What's the line items? She keeps saying 145.
That's the
my
jail.
That's the department.
Okay, so are we not doing like A 149?
He's reading those.
Yeah.
I'm missing them.
I'm missing them too.
She said, I think she said A145, and then she just reads the A149. She don't say the 145.
I just want to make sure I was on the same page.
I was reading them as 145A, 149.
Okay. I'm not busting chops. I just wanted to.
Some people,
clarification.
everybody turns them in differently, so then they're typed up the way that the people turn them in, and you just have to look at the top, like where it says jail 145, that's the department, so that goes in front of the A149.
With you.
What she's telling you is that's Department 145 in front of, you're just not used to that, but.
I'd never,
yeah.
Jane and I were both lost.
Okay, all
That's the
right.
reason I brought it up.
Now you're found.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, got a motion from Piper, second from Webb. Any questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Ballard,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Want to point out, we cut out the religious part of this meeting a few years ago.
Okay. Thanks, Ron. Oh, my. Okay, we're ready for public defenders.
Public defenders, salary and wages, 139A, 150, negative $11,500. 139B, 150, positive $11,500. 139, 186, attorney fees, negative $15,000. 139, 312, contract attorneys, positive $15,000, total $0.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Quakenbush. Any questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper,
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Right, well, because he said he made the call in
Go ahead. Yep. You don't have to wait on me. Go right
Okay.
ahead.
Purdue Extension, salary and wages, 131D, 106, secretary, positive $1,587.46. 131D, 106, traveling expenses, 323, negative $1,587.46, total $0.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Lassiter. We kind of discussed this through Finance Committee, and we're looking for some answers to the question, and I believe we don't have an answer back from Purdue Extension.
Did not answer her.
What's that?
The state hadn't answered her yet.
Okay.
Because I
Do you-
turned her computer on this morning and she didn't have an email and she sent it Thursday after the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything that I need to do to support that information from DLGF?
Not that I know of. She was just waiting on if we could do it or not. So,
Okay.
I mean, if they come in later next week and they've done their, we can still do it.
Okay, wonderful.
Whatever you guys decide.
Do you want to go ahead and explain what happened to council so that council's got an understanding of it before we?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Molly Hunt, Purdue Extension Area 7 Director. So I brought to the Finance Committee an issue because we had employee D106 secretary whose first day was the day that the world shut down for COVID, and she was sent home and the county closed down. So she did not receive a copy of her first 3 pay stubs just due to some of the inefficiencies with everybody working from home and the fact that we weren't set up for that is my assumption. So during that time, as department head, I was supposed to submit some paperwork removing her from a probationary period. I was unaware that that was a process that needed to be followed, and honestly, with everything going on during COVID, I probably would have missed it anyways. And so she was never brought up from that probationary pay status, and absolutely 100% should have been. She's an outstanding employee, doing excellent work on behalf of both Purdue Extension 4-H and the County of Delaware County. So what we're doing here is trying to rectify that and make this right, and make sure that she gets the money due to her. Those funds were allocated for 2020, 2021, and 2022. 5% of the Purdue Extension budget was returned last September with overages in it, and those funds were included within that 5%. Due to the vacancy, honestly, I didn't think to check that we had overages within that line. I made the assumption incorrectly that that was due to a partial year vacancy. Are there any questions?
The question was, this is paying prior year's expenses after the books were closed?
Correct, which is
2020.
Yes, correct.
Question. So there wasn't a question of whether she had the money coming. I mean, was logically eligible for it. The question was, can we take it out of this year's budget?
Right, and so what's before you then is an adjustment within our 2021 budget to pay that back due salary and compensation out of our travel fund, because due to some additional, the Delta variant, whatever, we're not traveling at a rate that we usually do, and so that adjustment has been made there. The staff member has already received an adjustment for all of 2021 that was made on August 4th with that pay period with help from the auditor's office and HR. So currently the question with State Board of Accounts and the Department of Local Government Finances whether or not this adjustment can be made within the 2021 budget to cover a problem with the 2022 budget, which is, as Mr. Quakenbush said, now closed. So it's my understanding there is precedent for this, both in Delaware County and the state, so I'm hopeful that DLGF will come back with an approval.
I do have one question, though.
Yeah,
I
because
was
our
going to say,
intent is to
ask all your questions. I'm going to suggest that we table this, but I want you to ask your question because once we table it, the questions are over. So
So my question is with the policy, is there a printed procedure, Pam, for the probationary period? Is that anything in our handbook or?
Up to the department head to.
I have a copy of the handbook, and there is no policy outlining what needs to be done to remove somebody from a probationary period in the forms within the county handbook to follow. It is on page 23, and then again on page 37, it mentions the performance appraisal at the end of the probationary period, but it does not outline an exact SOP that needs to be followed by department heads.
Should just be a good learning opportunity as everyone hires in new employees that go into a probationary period to remember to get that filled out moving forward.
you're going to have to step up, Pam. Sorry.
Like Molly said, normally they do know that.
Sure.
But it was just so much
Chaos.
confusion
No, I
at that
get it.
time. Yes. So most department heads know that when they hire full-time, they have to start at 90% and in 90 days go to 100%. It was just a bad
Timing.
time.
So how long did it go unnoticed? For the remainder of the year?
Oh, yeah, a majority of the year. So she still doesn't have copy of those first 3 pay stubs from that time. So she was operating under the assumption that the pay that she was receiving was at 100%. And we keep her busy enough that she doesn't have a whole lot of time to double check that. And one day she had the time, and as soon as it was brought to our attention, I immediately started the process to bring it in front of both the council and HR.
Well, what we asked at Finance Committee was to see if we couldn't find a solution by Tuesday's meeting, and we're still waiting on that
Absolutely.
solution. So, like I said, I'm going to request that we table this and see what we can get solved between now and the next time we meet.
Okay, thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Well, I'll move to table.
Second.
Okay, got a motion from Piper, second from Quakenbush to table this one. Roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Lassiter,
Yes.
Ms. Piper,
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Cumulative Bridge, 1135, salary and wages. 190, 104, Bridge Tech, negative 11,558.39. 190, A, 104, Traffic Tech Inspector, 11,000, positive 11,558.39. Total, 0.
Move to approve?
Motion from Piper, second from Webb. Questions from council?
What is the title different from Bridge Tech to a Traffic Tech?
I'm not sure why that title was given years ago, but I thought that this is a good time to correctly reflect her job description.
Should that be out of Cume Bridge Fund? It's a traffic person?
They do drainage work, they do inspections, write up work orders for the bridge crew, so it's more than just a
Combination
traffic.
job?
Yes,
It's not
it's not
like
strictly
it says
traffic.
traffic tech inspector. That makes me think of somebody out putting out counters and things like that.
Well, they do that too,
Yeah.
and they do traffic
it's a
counts on my.
combination.
It's a combination.
So it could be one of those jobs where we have where it's 50% out of bridge and 50% out of
That's a
highway.
possibility. We haven't been set up that way in years.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it got changed, but. Or my time.
Anybody else? Okay, roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Piper,
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes, but I wish it was in the right category.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it still could be fixed at budget time if you want to take a look at that. Talk to the commissioners about it.
Okay.
I think it'd be a good idea. I agree with Jane.
Jail Loa, 1170. 145A, 103, Correctional Officer, negative 11,200. 145B, 103, Correctional Officer, positive 11,200. 145A, 104, Correctional Officer, negative 12,400. 145B, 104, Correctional Officer, positive 12,400. Total, 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Ballard.
Calling 145.
Any questions from council?
Yeah, I just want to ask a quick update, how we doing on the employee situation?
Yeah, 3 more that will be burning off time in September. I just was given notice of 2 more that'll be burning off in October. We lost a sergeant, we lost a corporal, so it's not doing much better.
So your previous losses, were they usually higher ranking like that, or were they newcomers?
They weren't all higher ranking, but we're now losing the people who have time on the department, which is why it's taking so long to burn off their time so I can hire new people, or they can hire new people, not me. We're losing all the people with all the experience.
Sorry if I moved you.
Figured you'd say that.
Any other questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Quakenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers,
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter, Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Public Defenders Supplemental, number 247, 1,200 to 11 office supplies, positive $500, and 1,200, 314 witness fees, negative $500, total, 0.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion from Quakenbush, second from Piper. Any questions from council? call, please, Steve.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Ineligible standard homestead, 1216. 310, contract services, negative 2,495. 441, copy machines, positive 2,495, total 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Ballard. This is replacing a copy machine.
Just replacing one with a used one with very few copies on it. They give us 6 months to pay.
Any questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. On to the addendum. You know where you're going next,
Should
the
be the
addendum?
Yes.
addendum, yeah.
Addendums. Okay, on to addendums. Public Defenders, number 139, salary and wages. 139E, 179, negative 11,000. 139F, 179, positive 11,000, total 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Lassiter. Questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Jail, salary and wages. 145C, 105, sergeant, negative 12,440, 34. 145D, 105, sergeant, positive 12,440, 34, total 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from
Cheney.
Lassiter. Okay. Questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Communication, there is a correction on the fourth and fifth one down. Instead of 34 cents, it's actually 32 cents on both of those. I'll get started. 1, 2,
Before you go, there was another correction that I've got on the line item that should be E125.
yes.
Okay. Will you read that as E25 when you,
125 is
or
what I had it
125?
as.
Yeah, 125.
125, yeah,
Yep.
that's what I had
E125.
written down
Okay.
as well.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, salary and wages. 124, B, 136, communication tech, negative 3,000. 124A, 112, communication tech, negative 6,000. 124, 196, overtime, positive 24,000. 124A, 134, communication tech, negative 11,239.32. 124B, 134, communication tech, positive 11,239.32. 124D, 125, communication tech, negative 12,383.94. 124E, 125, communication tech, positive 12,383.94. 124B, 136, communication tech, negative 16,620.31. 124C, 136, communication tech, positive 16,620.31. 124A, 101, communication tech, negative 20,365.56. 124B, 101, communication tech, 20,000, positive 20,365.56. 124, 128, Communication Tech, negative $12,434.49. 124A, 128, Communication Tech, positive $12,434.49. And then 124-367, Telephone Backup Center, negative $15,000 for a total of 0.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from
Ballard.
Ballard. Questions from council?
I'd like to ask, the telephone backup, could you explain a little bit about what that is?
No, I
I'm just
cannot.
not familiar with it.
Barry just stopped in the office yesterday and said he was not going to be here today and asked me to stand up here, but he didn't say, did he say anything to you, Jenny, about the backup?
No, he just mentioned that everything was for new employees and overtime and then the director's position. He didn't mention anything
About the telephone.
We had some really good conversation in Finance Committee, and he's working on getting things, and I know Ryan's been working on that committee as well, working on getting things back in order.
He's really been working close with myself and Jenny to get, he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, Ryan, I do not know the answer
That's
to
all
that.
right. And the other thing is on the overtime, is there other obviously there's other is it shortages, employee shortages? That's what driving the overtime costs?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and it's mandatory, a lot of it is mandatory overtime because they don't have these positions filled. So they're having to ask the full-time people that are in there now to work overtime.
You have to work
It's a force over.
over on the
Force-
shift.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Other questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Statewide 911, salary and wages, 1222-466, B109, Communication Tech, negative $15,544.96. 1222-466C, 109, Communication Tech, positive $15,544.96, total 0.
To approve?
Second.
Ron.
Motion from Piper, second from Quakenbush. Any questions from council on this?
Scott, after our discussion the other day at the committee meeting, Finance Committee, I wrote director in here. Is that going to be changed, or did I just do that for my own purposes?
I believe what we discussed in finance was this is being moved over to pay the, acting director?
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
interim director? Okay. Is that right, Pam?
Yes, it is.
Is that,
Yes.
okay, all right.
Who is on contractual services at this time?
Yes, he is.
Eventually, he'll draw his pay
Yes,
once the contract runs out.
yes. Well, now, he's not going to, he's just an interim, so he's just going to work here,
Till they hire a
isn't
director.
it 90 days, Ryan?
As of right now.
Yeah, 90 days, and then he'll,
The overall goal, Ron, is for him to help us find somebody
Okay.
to fill that position that's capable and willing. So until that happens, I mean, 90 days is what's been discussed, but I mean, until that happens, I would see him there for a little bit, so.
he's got a big job. I mean, he's got a
lot.
big job, and he's putting a lot of fires out, and so,
Ryan, could you
Well,
share a
and-
little bit about his background? Because maybe not everyone knows much about Barry.
I think Barry should share that, but
Okay.
I mean, from a standpoint, I believe he was the director of the state 911 system. He's been involved with communications most of his life. I do know that when the 911, before the 911 board had kind of disbanded, he was the one that was helping facilitate information to the city of Muncie and trying to help them understand some of our issues that we have when we aren't necessarily getting that half and half payment. So he was able to relay that with Mayor Tyler and had a good back and forth with him. So Barry's got the history and he's got the experience when it comes to 911. So he was in the 911 board meeting when we first put him into this interim spot. He brought a lot of good ideas, and you can tell he's very knowledgeable about some of the details as to what the state regulates us when it comes to that dispatch center. So
He's very familiar with us locally as well, too, and he wasn't brought in to be a temporary director.
no, he was approached.
Of there, he was, I think originally he was brought in to consult.
Right,
wasn't he?
and then-
Yeah,
and
it worked into that, and I think that's gonna be a really good thing. And we'll know pretty quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. He's very efficient.
Any other questions from council? Oh, you may get some background. He'll be at budget sessions here. We're gonna be in that here in a few days, so.
And he's willing to answer any questions you guys have.
Yeah.
So.
And he does have the answers. Ron and I talked to him for a while after finance, and
Yeah, I
Okay.
talked to him another 20 minutes after you left. Yeah, he's a very good communicator. He's a good man.
if there's no more questions, roll call, please.
Mr. Quakenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Can I say something? To Ryan Ballard, I appreciate your working on this communications. I'm told that you've taken a real good interest in it. And
Appreciate that.
He's doing a great job. Yep. Okay, we are on to,
New appropriations, EMS capital improvement, 4910. 441 ambulance rechassis, 129,000, positive 129,760, total 129,760.
Move to approve?
Second.
motion from Piper, second from Ballard. Go ahead and tell us what you're doing.
Yep, this is just for a re-chassis of an ambulance, so, which is about $80,000 less than buying a new ambulance, and we do this about every year, so it's got one its time, running a little behind time because of COVID and the chip shortage and all that stuff, but that's all we're looking for. And
Any questions from council?
yes, sir.
Mike, just for the public, I know you do it every year. That's not per ambulance though, correct? Like how long will the re-chassis, just for the sake of the public? How long-
5 to 6 years, sometimes a little longer. The box, though, we just got rid of one that was built in 1989. It just finished its
Wow.
years of service. So we save a lot of money by just putting new chassis underneath. And when they re-chassis, they go through the whole thing. I mean, they replace whatever needs replaced, we make whatever upgrades we need to make. It basically comes back as a brand-new truck. But the expensive part is the box on the back, so.
And as long as the box is in good condition, you could continue every 5 to 6 years
Yep.
to re-chassis it, which will save the taxpayers money.
Yeah, we probably only bought, I bet we maybe bought 2 brand-new trucks in the last 10 or 15 years. I'm just guessing.
That's
but-
your schedule, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Every
we
5
try to
years.
schedule it so we keep the fleet up, so. We don't do it every year. We're behind now because of COVID and all that stuff. And this truck in particular, usually it's 100 days out after you sign the contract. They put on there up to 300 days this time, so.
Yeah, I remember you explaining that to me. There's like a really good waiting list on this, so you have to get in line
Yeah, gotta get
to
in
be able to
line.
do this.
Yep, so the clock starts ticking as soon as I sign the contract, but I'm not signing it until you guys say yes, so,
Thank you.
yes,
Appreciate
no
that.
problem.
And this is for one re-chassis.
One re-chassis.
Okay, all right. I couldn't hear what Ryan Webb was saying. Did you think it was for more than one, or?
No, I
Okay,
knew
all right.
it was for one. I just, when he had explained it to me, when I met privately with him, I didn't quite understand all the details of it, so I just wanted him to explain a little bit more for anyone and,
Sure.
watching or in the audience, so they understood what it was.
I couldn't hear you because you're talking out that direction, so.
It's rare that someone says they can't hear me. It's usually the loudest.
That's
in the
true.
room.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cumulative bridge, Bridge number 86, positive 100,000. Bridge number 112, positive 75,000. Bridge number 193, positive 50,000. Bridge inspection, 1135,800, 100,000. Total 325,000.
Move to approve?
Second.
Ron.
Motion from Piper, second from Quakenbush. You want to explain, in Finance Committee, we asked where these bridges were located because we don't know that, aren't able to associate the numbers with the locations, but
Sure. Bridge 86, that's a planned replacement. That's located on 650 East at Campbell Creek between 350 North and 400 North. It's an old timber structure built in 1982. It has a 910 load restriction, so I'd like to get that replaced. It's number 2 on my recommendation list as well. Bridge 112, I just recently received some rural funding to help pay 80% of all the different phases, such as design, right-of-way, construction, and inspection. And it's located on 600 South at Williams Creek between Honey Creek and 300 West. Bridge 193 is on Memorial Drive, just west of the Muncie Bypass. That's going to be a superstructure replacement. I've also received federal funding for that as well. And then bridge inspections, that's required of every county, anything that spans more than 20 feet to be inspected every 2 years at a minimum.
Angie, how many bridges do we have in Delaware County?
195.
How many of those are timber?
I'd say around 27 or 28.
Are they on a schedule to?
Most of them are in really good shape,
Are
but this one needs to go, and I got a couple other that I'd like to get replaced. But you might recall when I had a rehab a couple years ago because it was overloaded, and so that was unexpected. So
I assume when they are replaced, it's not timber anymore.
no,
we're using, correct?
not interested.
So how old would those bridges be if they were timber?
I've not. This might be the oldest one. I'm
Yes.
thinking early 80s is
It's
when
the
they
first
started
one.
the program. Mm-hmm.
I was there.
I have a question.
You remember?
Is there any type of documentation or categorizing of bridges that are built with black bar rebar before epoxy rebar come out in the 70s, 60s in that area?
Well, they didn't start using epoxy rebar till the early 70s. So I would assume everything built before the 70s expected not to be epoxy coated. And really, it wasn't till the late 70s that the different DOTs started pushing the epoxy rebar. So probably anything, maybe even 80.
So the reason I'm asking that is because before my old job, I worked in rebar, and I know that the black bar bridges are about 35 years, and the epoxy rebar is about 70 years. So with them all, with that being that high amount of bridges that are past the bridge life, the reason why I'm asking is there like a documentation of them to pay closer attention to those bridges, or do we just go based off of the inspections?
The inspections are very detailed. I'll be happy to share you my inventory reports. They're 4 pages each. They check the deck, the superstructure, the waterway. Is very, very detailed. Unless I have plans, I can't confirm if it's black rebar or epoxy coated. I can only assume.
Based off the year it was built.
Right.
Who does our bridge inspections now?
United Consulting.
Thank you.
That timber bridge lasted over almost 40 years.
Well, and Angie does a really good job of
Been
staying
around
on top of
over
the bridges, the inspections, the repairs, getting them. I don't know how many years you go out to plan these, but
Well, if my wish list, I'd like to spend around $30 million in the next 5 years, but I don't think that's going to happen. I do the best with what I can with local dollars, federal dollars. Sometimes TIF is able to assist me if it's in the TIF district. So I'm looking at all avenues for funding.
and the amounts that we're seeing here aren't for total bridge replacement necessarily.
The bridge
They're
inspections,
partial.
that's what NDOT's estimating at this point for my next 4-year program. The others is just to get design and right-of-way taken care of. So I'll be coming back for more money.
Any other questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Family Recovery Court Grant, 8192, 173, health insurance, positive $2,870, total $2,870.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Ballard.
Good morning.
Morning.
Emily Anderson, Court Administrator, save the best for last. I apologize, I was not at finance. I was sick last week. I'm so sorry.
Well, if you were sick, I'm glad you weren't there.
Yeah, so this is that FRC position that we took to all grant starting July 1st. And so this person needed insurance. They already had insurance. They were a previous employee at CASA. So I'm just appropriating money to continue her insurance for this position. So I'm just appropriating the money. We had the money. We just need to appropriate it. So it's just to give her insurance, continue her insurance through the end of the year.
Any questions from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Chambers.
Well,
Yes.
hang on. Do we have one? No?
This is out of what?
It's a grant from the state.
Okay.
It's a problem-solving court grant, family recovery court grant out at juvenile.
Okay.
So
All right,
you
thank
have a problem-solving court, which is drug court, veterans court, and then you've got problem-solving court out of juvenile court now. So this person deals with all the juvenile court, the mothers and fathers with juveniles that they're trying to help get back on track,
Okay,
reunite the
thank
kids. Yep.
Ms.
Okay.
Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion to approve financial transfers and to amend salary ordinance with like reductions and to amend hiring freeze ordinance 2020-015.
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Ballard. Any discussion from council? Roll call, please, Steve.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. Any committee reports? I will report that we still do not have, to my knowledge, an appointment for the Animal Care Board. I do know that this needs to be a Democrat to make it a balanced board, so we can continue to work through that, and if we find somebody, we will be in budget session, and we can call a special meeting with given enough notice to make that appointment, or if there's anything else that comes up as well, so.
I guess basically if you are someone who has a Democrat voting history and you have a passion for animals, would like to be on this board, email us. All of our email addresses are located on the county website, so let us know if that's something you have interest in. Otherwise, we'll just keep organically looking ourselves.
Mary, would you have any interest in doing that?
I wasn't listening.
The Animal Care Board, we're looking for an appointment. It needs to be a Democrat.
I guess
You don't have to commit to it. I meant to ask you before the meeting. And
That's fine, I will do it.
will you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and make that appointment because we don't want to leave them short another month.
All right, well then I'll move to approve Mary as our appointee to the Animal Shelter Board.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion from Piper, second from Webb.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Would you like to say anything, Mary? You have experience on that board, I've heard.
I don't think so.
You don't? I talked to a former council person, Chris Matchett. He said he thought you were on that board with him, but, okay, well, you will now.
Okay.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Let's go ahead and
Congratulations.
give me a roll call on that, please, Steve.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Quakenbush.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
And thank you, Mary. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Mr.
you.
Alexander.
That's a good
Yes.
way to have lots of pets you don't have to
I'll
take
let you
care
know
of.
later.
Well, if you need to change that, you just let us know. And-
Okay.
And supply a person to replace you. Okay, any department heads or elected officials? Okay, we need to do a council review of the maximum levies and tax caps, and I printed them all out. I don't recommend you do that. I think it was somewhere over 50 pages on that. But what we have done the past few years was make a motion and make no recommendation to go back to those different entities. These are all outside of the county. That it's the townships, towns, cities, schools. Trying to think if there's anybody else. City of Muncie, townships. Yep, I said that off the front, I think.
I'll make a motion for no recommendation.
Second that.
I got a motion from Lassiter, second from Piper. Any questions from council? If not, roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Quakenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Mr. Alexander.
Yes. Okay, I don't believe we've got any new business at this point.
Ron, got something.
Ron, go ahead.
I have a question of Angie. I had brought the wheel tax, I had it here a minute ago in my hand, but the wheel tax statement from the state, has that wheel tax affected your budgets much?
Not on the wheel tax.
Here it is. That 86,809, is that normal?
Yes.
Seemed like to me it was over 100 at one
Some
time.
months it is.
Okay,
It's gotten as low as like 70,000 in some months. Some months are higher than others.
I was sure you were keeping track of it. I don't, but I look at the report every year, or every month.
Was that the monthly amount, Ron?
Yeah.
I wonder if does it fall, no rhyme or
I think it
reason?
depends on like the amount of the alphabet, whatever month has the most that people are renewing.
Yeah,
it's when they get their plates, right?
Yes.
So whichever month's the busiest, the wheel tax would be great. So should be able to predict that based off of previous years.
Right.
Well, and sometimes it depends on when it's turned in and paid by the counties. Or by the, I guess, by the
State.
licensed branch,
Yeah, it comes
at least with
Right,
some of these
that's true,
different
too.
funds,
from your
yeah.
registration.
Okay. Any other questions from council? We're ready for public comment. If anybody, whoever's number one on the list.
We do have a few questions on
Okay.
Facebook, if you want to look at those real quick. So at the beginning of the meeting, City Councilman Troy Ingram asked, are we delaying the paving over by the new jail in order to pave these areas, or are we doing them both simultaneously? Commissioner King did go ahead and respond to that, stating the roads by the new jail will start after Labor Day. We wanted to wait until trail work was completed before we started paving. There was another question. City Councilman Troy Ingram asked about the new hires at the jail. So they're not necessarily new hires, they are new employees who are replacing individuals who have left, so not like actual brand-new employees. So that's what those line items are. Anytime you hear us say like, an A104 negative 12,000 and then B104 positive 12,000, that's indicating a new employee replacing a line item. So that's what that means. Then we have a question pertaining to the CARES Act money. Joey Williams, has there been any discussion on a plan for the county's funds from the CARES Act? The lack of transparency has a true concern. So I know if, for those of you who've tuned in to our meetings before or attended in person, we've discussed this many, many times that the commissioners are still working on that plan, and I would assume, Jenny, they'll be coming before us when that's ready for, the ARP plan, the ARP, the CARES money we received last year. So the ARP money is what the commissioners will be working on and bringing before us when it's ready.
I can add a little bit to that.
That'd be
Jess.
great, Jenny, please.
They're just.
You'll have to
giving
come
us-
up to the,
Sure.
sorry.
No worries.
We can't hear you.
No, they're just giving it some time. I mean, we all recall the CARES money, it changed a number of times. So they're just giving it some time to make sure that that doesn't happen with this plan and we adopt something that will need to eventually be changed down the road. They're giving it time for the state to see how that all pans out, and then they'll come forward with a plan, so.
Well, just to clarify, the commissioners passed a resolution several months back that they are going to come up with the plan, and then at some point in time, that will have to be approved whenever it's ready to council. I'm assuming we'll have some meetings before then.
Oh, sure.
And some discussion before then, but as of right now, that's where it's at, so.
And then we have a few comments from Chris Broderick, well, a couple comments and a question. So it all pertains to the salaries, the pay matrix from the county deputies and correctional officers, just wanting to know what the status on the pay increases for those individuals. And I know we've mentioned before, too, that our budget hearings do open next month, so that's when we'll have those conversations.
I've got one person on the list, and that's Margaret Nickham. Are you done? Sorry.
Yeah, that's all
Okay,
Facebook,
all
and
right.
there are no emails.
Yep. Just step up to the podium, name and address, and
I wouldn't give the address.
what's that?
I wouldn't give their address out. And you see me?
Okay, don't give your address. We've got your address. You wrote it down, so go ahead.
It's Margaret Nickham, and I live at 3401 North Cowling Park Lane in Muncie. And I'm here as a facilitator for the Muncie 912 Tea Party. We're sponsoring an event on September 11th, and we wanted to invite all of the elected officials who would attend that event, not to speak or anything, but just to listen and to hear hear the information that we want to present. What it is, there are 3 speakers. The event is on Saturday, September 11th, and it will be held at the Glad Tidings Church, which is out on Burlington Drive. We have 3 speakers, and the content will be CRT, which is critical race theory, SEL, which is the social emotional learning, and the 1619 project. The 2 of the speakers are involved in Purple for Parents, and that one, Jennifer McWilliams, is a teacher, and she was recently fired for questioning her administration for more information on the SEL. Another speaker is Rhonda Miller. Both of these people speak around Indiana in different venues. Rhonda has been involved in researching primarily with the Kinsey Institute a lot of years ago, which led her on into watching and researching the schools. And she also is one of the founders of Purple for Parents. The speakers our keynote speaker is a gentleman named Alvin Louis. Alvin's grandparents escaped communist China just as they were becoming a communist nation, and they settled of all places in California. And so he was born there, grew up there, and he does not like what's happening in the schools in California. And so he decided to move his family. He looked around, and Indiana was a good place as far as taxes, and their school seemed to have a very good school system. So he moved to Carmel. When he did that, he began to watch what his children were learning and what the information that was coming to them through the school system. And he found that in Carmel, we are at the early beginning stages of what he witnessed in California. He wants just to speak one-on-one to people. He will be the keynote speaker. He then will close. He will be part of a panel of the 3 speakers closing at about 4 o'clock or so. And in the afternoon, it will consist totally of breakout sessions. The Indiana homeschoolers called us and asked if they could participate, and we told them yes. So there are speakers on homeschools. We have a speaker on private schools. Ivy Tech will have a speaker there. Indiana Wesleyan will have a speaker there, and there are 12 sessions, but 4 will be running at the same time, so you would pick the breakout session that you wanted. Our goal is to make parents aware of the things that are happening in the schools, and then to provide options. For one of the things I didn't know is that if you homeschool or if you are afraid to homeschool and there's a subject that you're not proficient in and you decide you can't homeschool, there are teachers that now just teach that particular subject. And so if you want to homeschool your children and you want to send them, for instance, for civics or some other thing, there are homeschool teachers that do that.
Margaret, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up, but if anybody's got any questions for you, you'll be around to answer.
Okay.
We usually only allow about 3 minutes, so
Oh,
we're
okay.
beyond that. So
I'm sorry. If anybody has any questions, I do have flyers. I would like to give each of you a flyer, if that's okay. And then I would be glad to answer any questions that you have.
thank you, Margaret. Anybody else?
What time did the event start on Saturday, 9/11?
Margaret,
sorry.
what time does it start?
It starts at 9 o'clock. The doors open at 8:30, and it starts at 9 o'clock. We do have lunch available there at the church. It's snacky stuff, not, so it goes till 5 o'clock.
5 p.m. 9 to 5.
Thank you.
9 to 5 on 9/11.
Thank you.
I got that one.
Anybody else?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Steven?
What's that?
Thank you.
Well, I think there may have
okay. I
been,
got the
there may
lid
have
on
been
it.
one there before.
Thank you, honey.
So, yeah, if you did sign up and anybody in the room, we'll
There were a few people.
we'll hear what you have to say. Yeah. I think that was left over from the commissioners meeting,
Okay.
and I
don't
just
wanna
got
speak
past
for the
one that had one name on it, so.
Good morning, my name's Stephen Brand. I live at 8770 South County Road 200 West in Monroe Township. I'd like to talk to you guys today a little bit about a subject that's been touched on here is proper staffing, the ability to attract, develop, and retain employees. I recently hosted a Muncie Manufacturing Alliance meeting, which is made up of about 30 advanced manufacturing employers here in Delaware County. About 14 or 15 showed up. And out of the 14 or 15 that showed up, we identified 600 currently open advanced manufacturing employment opportunities. And everybody's well aware of the new companies coming to town, which I think is fantastic. I support all that stuff. But what it leads to is cannibalization from one employer to the other. And you can employ all the retention tactics you want to, but the only thing people really care about right now is pay. I've been interviewing people for 30 years, asking them what's important about, where they work. And it used to be job security and communication and fair treatment, things like that. But the generations that are coming in today, they only care about, or they mostly care about, let me say, total compensation. They're looking for wages. And I heard it talked about a lot here today. I've also been paying very close attention to what's going on with the Delaware County Sheriff's Department. And when I look at the information that's been presented, I can't find any flaws in the pay gaps that's been presented by the Delaware County Sheriff. I also know that a lot of the folks that are leaving the Sheriff's Department, they're not leaving the trade, they're not leaving the industry, they're going to other law enforcement agencies for better pay and maybe better total compensation. I don't know those details. I heard Jess Piper say, hey, you guys are going to have your budget hearings coming up here pretty soon. I've talked to a number of you individually, and I haven't found one single person yet that disagrees that the county sheriff's department is underpaid. However, I keep hearing, hey, we don't have the money, we can't find the money. I've talked to the sheriff, and there is a solution. Maybe it's a short-term and a first-year solution that helps fund some of the pay gap that the sheriff would like to see closed. And in my opinion, that's a gift to the county council. It gives you time to prepare for the future. I'm a conservative person, extremely conservative as far as that goes. And raising taxes is the last thing I want to do. But if you can't find the room in your budget, hearings coming up, I personally would be in favor of a small tax increase to properly fund the sheriff's department, giving the sheriff the ability to attract, develop, and retain the best people. Every good organization or business is made up of the best people, and I think we've got the best people in the state as far as county sheriffs and county deputies go. I would even be willing to go speak at the city council meeting, which I know is necessary if you're going to consider a lit tax increase. So that's really all I had to say today. I didn't have anything special prepared, but I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have a question about what I've stated.
Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
I'd signed up as well.
Okay, all right. Well, I think what happened is the commissioner's sign-up sheet was left on there, and that may be what you signed in, but anybody that wants to
Had to sign in. I mean, we have them sign in, but they've never had to have approval before.
okay. Yeah, we're kind of new at this public thing, getting back to the public
Yeah,
thing,
that's
but
true.
but anybody that's here is eligible. I'm not going to limit it just to a list in here anyway. We want to hear from anybody that wants to talk to us. So go ahead, TJ.
All right, well, I appreciate that. Tony Johnson, I live at 11880 North Black Cemetery Road in Albany. My name is Captain Tony Johnson. I'm with the Delaware County Sheriff's Office. I've served with this agency for over 25 years, and I've been full-time for 11. There's been some very serious discussion involving pay for our sheriff's office. I've sat down with most of you and discussed our county pay disparity. 2020 was unlike anything that we had ever seen. COVID-19 hit, and as a result, the county building was closed for 6 weeks. While county employees were sent home to keep them safe, your Delaware County Sheriff's deputies and correctional officers came to work every day. They were out in the public, and they were inside the jail dealing with the community as well as COVID-19. In 2020, across this country, 264 police and correctional officers lost their lives in the line of duty. 145 of those deaths were due to COVID. So far in 2021, across the country, we've seen 212 police and correctional officers lose their lives in the line of duty. 130 of those deaths so far have been due to COVID. Now in 2020, MPD gave their police officers a 9% pay increase. That brought their base pay up to $52,000, actually over that. In 2020, Delaware County Sheriff's Office deputies and correctional officers received not one penny in the way of pay increase from the council. And I asked, did anyone get a pay increase in 2020? And if so, was their job that much more dangerous than our public safety agencies? Policing is a hardly sought after profession anymore. Despite the raise that MPD gave their department, in their last hiring process, they had 24 applications. And after that process was whittled down, they had 8 qualified applicants, and they have 10 openings. MPD is currently offering a hiring bonus to any ILEA certified police officer. This describes every deputy on my department. They get a $5,000 upfront bonus, and they walk right across the street making $10,000 more a year. And all they have to do is change their uniform. They don't have to move, and they get all the same perks, if not more, that we do with our agency. Ball State University, Yorktown Police Department, Muncie Police Department, school resource officers, and Ball Memorial Hospital all pay more than we do. And in the past 6 months, we've lost deputies to every one of those agencies. In the past 11 years, there have been 3 pay increases for the sheriff's office: $1,500, $1,000, and $750. The trend is going in the wrong direction. Jail officers make $16.10 an hour. There's current legislation out there to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And I ask you, how do you think that's going to benefit us? In July of 2019, you gave EMS a $5,000 pay increase. Jason Rogers told you that his staff was underpaid, demoralized, and ready to leave. And this describes the very sentiment of the Delaware County Sheriff's Office right now. You have to fix this. There are options out there that must be examined. This problem does have a solution. You have to be willing to set politics aside and sit at the table with the right people to discuss options that benefit Delaware County. The constituents that you promised to work for and the constituents that elected you to the seats that you sit in deserve no less. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, TJ.
I do want to address a question. He did ask a question about raises for last year. We did not give one out to the county employees. However, there are positions within our budget that are determined by state statute. And those particular, we have no control over those raises, and those do happen.
They're mandatory.
They're mandatory, and we have no say in that. But outside of those particular positions, there were not.
The state mandates those.
It mandates those.
I'd like to quickly, just real fast, touch base on what TJ said, and I appreciate all you guys coming out here. This is the second meeting in a row. We see you, we know why you're here, to show your support. I've been inundated with emails and phone calls and texts, reiterating that support, and we support you as well. And just so anyone who hasn't been paying attention, I know we're all under the same understanding that something needs to be done. We have our budget hearing in a few weeks and hoping to tackle that project. I will say I'm really concerned because I've spoken with multiple individuals who've indicated to me that probably greater than half the staff is just waiting for those 3 weeks to make their mind up. And I'll say right here on the record, I'm worried that if we don't come to a conclusion, we're really going to be in a jam, because that's positions that somebody's got to be there to keep the inmates locked up and to patrol the streets and things like that. So your concerns and voices haven't gone unheard. I know we've not really said a lot about it on the record, but for me personally, and I know these guys have all said it as well, we hear it and we're going to do whatever we can to see if we can work through it. So
I know.
try to hang in
We've
there
had,
best you can.
you done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, we've had several meetings with the sheriff. I know Jeff Stanley's been in on those. We sat down with TJ and the sheriff a couple of weeks ago. Got a call from TJ over the weekend. There's not a single council member up here that we have talked to or that has expressed anything but trying to make a significant increase happen. So that's what we'll be working on, continuing to work on. And I expect we'll have more meetings before it's all over with.
And to Councilman Webb's point, we actually start our budget hearings the Wednesday after Labor Day. They're open to the public, so y'all can come. They're about 12 hours the first day, and then we kind of see how that pans out in the next 2 days, meet again. But we actually vote on our budget on October 12th, I believe is the date. Tuesday the 12th, we have a meeting to adopt the budget. So just because the budget hearings start on that Wednesday after Labor Day, we have a lot of work in between then and when we adopt the budget. So I'm sure, to Scott's point, we'll have many conversations between then.
Anybody else? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Piper, second from Ballard. Roll call, please, Steve.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Ballard,
Ryan, yes or no?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.